Hello viewers, and welcome to a bit of gameplay on Project Cars 2, this time running on the PlayStation 4. So it's the first time we've seen any of the PlayStation 4 version. This is an early development build and not the near final development build that's going to be going out to the media within the next week or two. And of course, as soon as we get our hands on that, we and half the world will probably be producing some videos on it. But I did manage to get hold of some of this development footage, so I thought I'd give you guys a look, and I'll fade in and out of this video so you can just see some silent gameplay as well. Kicking off then, Enzo Ferrari at Monza, having a cruise around. I will point out that all the gameplay in this video has been done with a controller. Various elements have been with assists on and assists off. I believe this is off. In a lot of the case though, I do tend to run authentic assists these days, which is the car has traction control if the real car does, because it's eminently more fun to drive. So visually, I think first impressions are relatively positive. It runs a bit like my PC version did, my GTX 780s. If you watched that video a few weeks ago, you've got a similar amount of sort of fidelity here. I've gone with a multicam because you can also see the replays, but also as I make a little mistake here, just losing control slightly. But also the replays on this version run at 30 frames per second, not 60, and that's because they've included a lot of different effects. On the one hand of me is a side that's disappointed, but on the other hand there's a side that recognises that they do that in Forza Motorsport and lots of other titles as well. So it's nothing new there. They like to apply lots of other effects. But either way, in car racing round, this all looks very nice. So I'm just let you have a listen to the game for a moment. So across the finishing line, of course, there, and having a little race around Long Beach. I do enjoy the Long Beach circuit, and it was a lot of fun to play as well. And it looked great. I was really impressed with it. We're going to look when we get the final game. There's a bit of night and rain at the end of this video, but here we see a little bit of IndyCar. And of course, it's a great year for Slightly Mad Studios because we've had the Fernando Alonso action at IndyCar, which has given it all a lot more visibility, a lot more interest. And it's great to see this appearing in of course the full game with a wide selection of circuits that are well equipped to handle IndyCar, and we'll have to see how this expands. But I was just changing the views here, seeing what it was like, of course, in the helmet cam. Which I personally like the effect. I don't like the moving head, but I do like the blur effect. I think it works well. It does give you a sense of depth and solidity of the environment. As I go into that slow corner, just around the outside. I'm wanting to avoid the AI at the moment. As with a lot of racing games, they tend to take a lap to sort themselves out, and then after that they really do stretch their advantage. And of course you have the Indianapolis Indy 500. Full range of full field was running on this, but again we'll be looking at this later and seeing how that really works in terms of the handling. At the moment this is just a preview, but once we get the chance to review it, I'm going to come back on all of this and talk about it. And if you guys have questions that you'd like me to answer in the review, ask me those questions now. Now's the time, and I can note those down and come back to you guys. But one of the big additions this year, and I'm going to mention this in the preview of course, is the snow racing, and I wanted to include a little bit of this as well. Racing round Brands Hatch in the snow, and again using the controller here, and it felt very nice and smooth and intuitive. Look at that sky, beautiful sort of sunrise we've got there, very nice. Gives it that sort of feel of winter. Just all round very nice little drifts, just learning how to control the car, but it felt very natural with the controller, and I just got more into it when I see the reflections of the lights on the track surface. It's nice. Just a wonderful skyline, you know, and of course that's all dynamic. The track is dynamic, the skyline is dynamic. I mean, everything you're seeing is dynamic as well. I mean, there's a lot of work being done overall. Of course, you've got Le Mans as well. I mean, Le Mans in there, different LMP cars. It's nice to see. I haven't shown too much of Le Mans because we know what Le Mans looks like. But if you played it in Project Cars 1, it was a pretty accurate representation, and it's the same here, basically. Always nice to play, and of course with the dynamic track now and the conditions and everything there, it's all there in the multi-class racing. It's something I'm going to revisit at a later date. Now my previews will all be with the controller because we're really interested this time in controller play. We know it handles well with a wheel, but it's really with a controller that a lot of you guys who have PS4s will be interested, and so that's why I've sort of focused very much on the controller play here, so everything's with that. But I still need to investigate in my review will be how is it with assists on and assists off. That's, I think, the key thing, and how does it work with some cars. We're going to have to just assess that at a later date. I do enjoy this circuit. It was a great feeling of speed. And of course Oulton Park as well. I wanted to include a little bit of this. I'll leave you to watch some of the action. And of course enjoyed the Oulton Park action, and of course there's a bit of Formula A as well, racing around Monza. I always enjoy racing around Monza, of course, and it's quite tricky, but again here all with the controller play, though I'd need to practice more I think to get up to speed here. I'm just trying to find a way past the AI, but no, all looking good like the previous game. Of course, if you've played Project Cars 1, you see they're working on it here, and I do look forward to seeing what the final build is like. But that's it from me for now. I'm just going to leave you with some last gameplay covering different areas, you know, from this of course to Rallycross we'll look at in just a moment, just to see the developments that are being made there, and I'll be back with more coverage on this later in the week, including a full preview. But that's it from me for now. As ever, more soon.